Hey everybody, thank you for listening to Filling in the Gaps. Be sure to check us out on our social media pages at Filling in the Gaps. From there you can get updates on show releases and anything special we may be doing. Sit back and enjoy the show. Should be a lot of fun.
Well, welcome out everybody to another episode of Filling in the Gaps. Rich is here on the Ohio side of the United States, and I'm joined by the lovely, the beautiful, the strong, the easily complimented Cameron from down in the biggest and baddest state of Texas. Every Monday we bring you guys an episode created by us rolling and taking a random theme and a random scenario and smashing those two things together into a session that is hopefully easy for you guys to run. I actually heard it said by one of my biggest admirers. No, he doesn't admire me. I admire him, I should say, and flip that around. But Matthew Koval on YouTube in one of his videos said that he doesn't need a huge packet of information to have a session to go off of. He just needs an idea, a spark. And Filling in the Gaps is hopefully that spark for you guys. It's something that you can cling on to and something that can start the forest fires of ideas in your own mind. But Cameron, I've been talking for so long and I'm so tired. Can you take over for a little bit and compliment some amazing fans of ours?
Yeah, I can. Well, first and foremost, thank you for like the Miss America introduction that I got.
Here he comes.
The beautiful, the ravishing. And it's just me, Miss Texas. And I've got like a big blonde wig. And I'm just like, oh, hi, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
Thank you so much.
We need more maps.
I appreciate all your love. And then if I had one thing, I would say world peace, easily.
Oh, of course. Like, duh.
Yeah. And all of the Wizard of the Coast books for free for all of our followers.
See, if everyone in the world had a Wizards of the Coast book, there would be less wars. Well, except for wars fought on imaginary planes of existence, but that's different.
I just pictured a lot of like world leaders getting in arguments over the ethereal plane, and it sort of made me happy.
We've got to fight over the ethereal plane. Sorry, we're getting distracted.
No, it's perfectly fine because distraction is what this is all about. Also, happiness and joy is what this is all about. And a lot of you have brought us quite a bit of happiness and joy.
Ooh,
I know we're coming a little bit late this week in terms of our episode. We apologize for that. Work has been absolutely crazy, but you've kept us going. You have been the fuel for our fires, and I wanted to give out personal thank yous. First and foremost, iTunes user Brody2108 left us a review, a 5-star review. Thank you very much. I felt more like we were 6 stars. But
iTunes just limits us, man.
It does. But nonetheless, he says, this podcast is truly an entertaining listen. As someone who is extremely green to role-playing games and storytelling, this podcast has taught me a ton while staying super funny and light. Great job, Cam and Rich. Keep it up. See, at the end there, they even gave us a little bit of a motivation.
Yeah, keep it up.
Keep it up. Keep doing the things that you're doing.
It could be a threat. Keep it up.
Yeah, keep it up. You better keep it up. Like says through the teeth while holding a gun, but like a little bit of a tear because it's like a regretful holding the gun on you.
Exactly. Like, I wish I didn't have to do this.
You made me do this. The next iTunes review, another 5-star review, is sent in by Tijbu. He says, this has been a huge help for the games I DM. They gave a ton of great ideas for settings, characters, and situations, etc. Really excited for each new podcast. That's awesome.
Aww.
I know. It's just so nice.
Thank you.
It's so super, super cool. Speaking of being super nice and super cool, one of our favorite listeners, we all are all our favorites, equal favorites, but this is also a favorite of the favorites.
Exactly.
Done348, thank you so much for the help on our list of themes and scenarios. We actually have them, we had a few other people introduce some ideas, but you actually helped create a spreadsheet, which was incredible.
Yeah, seriously.
We'll be actually posting the full list of our themes and our scenarios on our social media accounts probably this week, here pretty soon. I know we might have said that last time, but life gets in the way. Working nights is tough, everybody.
Yeah,
I gotta
dude.
tell you.
I'm glad to have you back on your regularly scheduled programming.
I thought we were going to do a zombie episode, and I was just going to be like,
Dude, that would be perfect. You're ready for it. That or a prison. That or a prison episode.
Yeah. We could do that too. I don't know, we don't need to bring up my past, but that's fine. Thought we talked about this. Twitter users, Heroes of Witten and Dunn, yet again, thanks Dunn. Y'all were relatively helpful this week in terms of answering some questions on Twitter, just to get some feedback from some of y'all to make sure that we are providing some great content for everything y'all do. Lastly, we received a message today from Bears Driving on
Great
Reddit.
Name. Great name.
Seriously. Highly dangerous, but great name.
Great name. Yes.
Yeah, great. I do want to see that as well. It almost sounds like a Filling in the Gaps episode had a baby.
Yes.
With a
Bears
bear. I don't know where
driving
this is going. I don't know where that's going. I don't think podcast episodes and bears can mate. So if they could.
Questionable.
Yeah, that's true. But anyways, thank you for the recommendation. And more or less just teaching us how to internet. So the subreddit that you recommended that we should provide so that we can have some really cool community conversations about the episodes and maybe spitball some more ideas between each other. That will be coming very, very soon, if not today, tomorrow. I did some research just now. And last but not least, I just wanted to give a good shout out to a cool Twitter follower. Hopefully this might be one of the episodes you listen to. Josh Prussia. I know this is weird, right? Because you wouldn't expect for someone to call you out for just following, but I have to say you have one of the world's greatest bios.
Oh, is this
for
that
any
guy?
Twitter account.
Oh
Yes.
gosh, it's so great, guys.
This
lean
is his
in
bio.
for the best bio in the world. Seriously, lean in. Stop. Whatever you're doing, stop and listen.
If you're driving, just Jesus
Pull
take
over.
the wheel, okay? Here you go. He says, "I'm Josh. I've been to almost 5 different states. I can do 25 push-ups without stopping. And I was in an elevator with that kid from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody."
We've made it. He's following us on Twitter, Cam. We've made it.
Man. We're next level individuals right now.
Seriously.
So I feel really, really, really honored to be followed by this individual. So, yeah, so that's about it. But Rich, let's jump into either Reddit questions or inspirations this week. I have an inspiration, but I want to ask you, since I've been talking.
Okay.
What inspired you this week, or do you have any Reddit questions that you saw that you might want to answer?
Well, I was personally inspired this week. I started following a new profile on Instagram. Actually, let me look up her profile name as I'm saying this. But I was inspired by this Instagram artist who has been drawing a ton of maps. And these maps are seriously like, Cam, you got to go follow this person. Their maps are fantastic. They draw them like all the time. And I was like, I have to draw more maps. I actually sent some to you and was like, dude, check out these maps I'm drawing. Let me know what you think. So I sat down, started drawing maps.
They were great. They were great.
And then I decided to take those maps, and even though they're so pretty and all put together, for a session I have coming up, I decided to cut them into hex grids. I just took a picture of the map, put it onto Photoshop, printed it out again with a hex grid on it, cut those grids out, and now as my players are adventuring through the world, they get to actually like uncover new tiles. And every time they're like, okay, let's adventure to the north, I can say, okay, here's a tile, and on that tile is a bandit camp. What do you want to do? So it'll be a cool little way for them to explore. And I think exploration is one of the huge 3 pillars of role-playing games. For me, it's like social stuff, exploration, and combat. And I feel like exploration is something we don't do a ton, or new age DMs kind of avoid, because it's hard to think of how do I come up with that. But if you're able to sit down and draw out a map and make those hex grids, it lets you almost plan a mini encounter for every hex, or for enough hexes that as your players are going through, it's like, oh, here's the bandit camp, or here's the random pixie counter. So it kind of essentially, I've been taking charts of like random encounters that the books would give you and just assigning them to different cells. So it's not as it's random for them, but it's not random for me where I have to constantly be like, oh, I got to be ready for anything at any time. So that's been helping me a lot. But what about you, man?
That's actually super interesting because it adds like a board game feel to the game.
Yes.
In a way.
Yep.
Which I really like. I like the idea of that. Plus, it gives. I talk about this a lot, but it gives that idea of progression for your players.
Yep. Like you can literally look at a map and say, "This is how much we've discovered."
Yeah, exactly. That's actually pretty cool. I was wondering how the hex were going to work because I thought you were just doing it randomly, and I was like, that'll be weird. If it's like, hey, you're in a mountain. Nope, now you're in the desert. Oh, now you're in the ocean. But now that I know it's actually puzzle pieced together,
yes,
that makes a lot more sense. I was like, at first I was really confused because I thought it was sort of like Settlers or Catan in the sense that it just goes out and lays out randomly. But there's no sheep trading in this game. Oh, there is maybe some sheep trading in D&D. I'm going to introduce sheep trading and wood trading into my next game.
It's a thing.
Have you played?
It's actually a thing. It's in the player's handbook.
You played Catan?
I have played, dude. It's so good.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that because like if I was to say stuff like I'm going to introduce sheep trading as a joke, and then you didn't play Catan, you'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah,
man?
like
I don't.
What?
I actually have a Man Crush Monday for my inspiration. My inspiration is Joe, and I do not want to mess this up, but it's Manganiello. I can't pronounce his last name. Manganiello. I'm just gonna say that. I think that's how you
got
pronounce
his first
name,
name, right?
Yeah, Joe Yeah. Yeah. I did get the first name. I'm pretty good at Joe. Joe is he's a pretty guy. He's very beautiful. Some people might know him from TV shows like True Blood or movies like Magic Mike. But I actually learned about him through his sort of hidden love for D&D. So Joe is 6'5". He is this jacked guy with a six-pack, and he looks like he's a model. He was a football player. He's a giant Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And beneath all of that is this massive Dungeons and Dragons fan. He grew up listening to recordings on a vinyl track that would tell him to turn to certain pages so he could follow along in these follow the adventure books.
That's awesome.
He started reading Dungeons books back when he was a child, and literally for years played as a minotaur in his other friends' stories. And he did all this stuff, and then life took, it sort of pushed him away from Dungeons and Dragons, and he was, went to college and played sports and was a football player and was like the jock, the popular kid. And then he said that he always felt like he had never got to have that experience anymore, that like wonderful explosion of excitement that came when he played D&D. And he was invited he had just got done shooting a show one night, like a Broadway show or something of that nature. And an old friend of his that he used to run games with down the street calls him, and this is when he is like 35 years old. He calls him out of the blue and he goes, "Hey, Joe, we're running a D&D game. Would you want to join us?" And Joe's like, "You know what? Yeah." So he packs up his car, goes and meets with this guy, drives all the way across Connecticut at the time, I guess, meets up with this guy, and they sit and they play D&D with a bunch of friends for 4 hours. And ever since then, he has played a weekly game of D&D. He has not taken time off from it. He's helped create content for Wizards of the Coast now.
That's awesome.
He runs games with Matt Mercer. He's this representation of like what you would not view as a person that enjoys D&D. And what it helps me realize is like, no matter who you are, what you've done, this game, not just D&D, but storyteller role-playing games, they bring us together in such a really, really cool way.
Yes.
And it excites me to know that like a guy that's like a massive football fan, and I mean he is a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. It's sort of crazy, but he literally climbs like glaciers and icebergs and things like that on his off time. He does it for just like for fun. But the most fun he has is playing storytelling role-playing games in his basement, where his wife Sofia Vergara brings him chips and beer for his buddies as they play in this massive basement together. And this is just this guy that could have any woman in the world that he wanted and could do anything he wants, and he just chose to play D&D. It's wonderful, man. I absolutely I was inspired like big time because of that.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man.
That is the thing I love about this game, is that like you could have, people sitting at a table who are from every walk of life and every hobby and every whatever. But when it comes to this game, it's kind of like a level playing field, which is sweet. I love it. I love this hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was sitting next to this guy, he's 6'5" and like 240 pounds of pure muscle, like it's going to be a little unusual because I'll be like, oh, he's a massive man. But yeah, he actually plays a dragonborn, a giant red dragonborn that's been corrupted by a demonic god. So it's really interesting. But yeah, that's what inspired me this week. Now I do though have a question though.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Please don't hate me, but hey Rich.
Oh, Cam, what?
Shall we roll?
Let's do it! All right, this is my favorite part of the episode every week, where the rest of the episode is literally determined by chance. Okay, cool. Now, this week I do have to say, I rode my bike to the place I record, so I don't have an actual dice. Don't hate me, everyone out there. I'm rolling on my phone on an app.
No. I'll roll for you.
No, I'm gonna do it. The app will hold true. I've tested it. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, I'm ready as well.
Okay.
Here we go.
Boop. All right, I got my number. I had to make that sound. I'm sorry. But I rolled a 13.
Okay. Wow. This is a
13 for theme.
I rolled an 11, and so we are trapped in a mage's crystal ball while having to find a way to undermine a cult.
Ooh, all right. Okay. All right.
This is an interesting one.
Well, I feel like...
So we're trapped in a mage's crystal ball. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say...
I had to sort of walk myself through that.
Yeah, and I feel like, though, there is some synergy here. Because a lot of times when we think of cults, I mean, Dungeons & Dragons has published, a 2-part adventure based around, like, the Red Wizards and the cult to Timiot, like the dragon cult. And there's this whole theme of it around, like, cults have to have this cult leader who is maybe a mage or somewhat intelligent. And I like the idea of maybe their seat of power or their source of power being not something even in this plane of existence, but maybe it's like it's in this other realm and the crystal ball attaches to that. Maybe it's even like crystal balls, can be used for divination spells and for scrying. So maybe it's like a time thing for those of you guys who really like time paradox type stuff. Maybe the crystal ball sees into the future or into the past, and you have to use that crystal ball and going inside of it as a way to like either fix something from the past or set something up in the future. I don't know. What do you think, Gam?
So this one's actually sort of stumping me. I'm really in a weird spot right now because, like, to me, I like the idea of a cult, but I like the idea of so it says trapped in a mage's crystal ball, right?
Yep.
So if this mage is the leader of the cult, are they when they trap you inside that crystal ball? What are they trying to do, and why are they trapping you in there? Is sort of like my thought as to why, because I have to give my bad guy the why. And so obviously undermining them is, okay, maybe they've trapped us in here to gather energy from us or to, gather souls within this crystal ball to summon something or bring about something. But undermining a cult and like maybe from the inside sort of tearing apart this it's like if you were to be swallowed by a dragon, but then kill it from the inside is sort of like how I view this in my mind. And so that's I just like the escape of the crystal ball has to coincide with, you know, some sort of destruction of like a relic that they desire or they need to, you know, accomplish this ritual that they're trying to go forward with.
So let me throw this out there though. Maybe, and I do like the idea of one of our ways of starting, like a start or a hook to this being, like your players are all sleeping in a town, and then you wake up and you're captured in this crystal ball, kind of like. I think Elder Scrolls Online starts you off where like you get sacrificed to something and sent to this other plane of existence where you're a prisoner and you have to break out. So you could definitely do something like that where you are captured by this cult, whether it's like low level and the cult's just grabbing nobodies, or high level and the cult's like, well, we need to specifically draw on these strong people's powers. But what if, going back to the idea of undermining, what if you are kind of like weaseling your way into the cult and through the cult, knowing like we have to get to this crystal ball. So it's not you were sucked in. What if the why is like almost maybe like a genie or something like that is the leader of this cult, or maybe the cult leader has corrupted this genie somehow and trapped it in this crystal ball, and you are working your way in, like making your way through, doing all the right hand motions, or at least pretending like you know them. And then you get into a secret chamber where the crystal ball is, and it's like, okay, we've got to go inside of it, and then that leads you into this. You know, you were in a very material world, and now you're in this very fantastical world where I'm kind of reminded of. Once again, I'm on an Elder Scrolls kick, I guess. E3 was this week, and they're announcing all their games, and I guess now I'm like, yeah, go. But what if it's like the quest in Skyrim for the Azura Star? Where there's this artifact, it's a soul gem, and you have to get sucked into it, fight all these very powerful things in this like floating crystal realm, and then like escape back out. What if it's something like that? Question mark?
Actually, I like that. No, I dig that. I actually dig that. You know, we have definitely taken liberty with our list before in terms of sort of defining specifically around the theme, because like if we were to have to go based off of trapped in a mage's crystal ball, that sort of is a very finite thing. And so if we can back out a little bit and maybe talk about how we get to that, it opens up the ability for us to tell the story a little bit more. So I dig the idea of that for sure. So in a way, it's sort of like it's you have used espionage to infiltrate this cult, and then through that, then you've gone in to destroy the cult from within, and you know that this is their source of power. In other words, their crystal ball, and so you search it, and then you find it, and then you're probably going like, oh shit, we've got a little bit of a problem on our hands because they've got some super powerful stuff inside this crystal ball.
Oh, you know there has to be some powerful stuff inside that crystal ball. Like, especially, I'm just looking at, I just flipped over to genies as we were talking through genies, because I brought up and I was like, I've never run a genie before. Let's see what a genie even does. And
genie is interesting to me.
Some things I've seen is they're all high level. They're all like challenge rating 11, I think. Maybe let me check the last one real quick. Yeah, they're all challenge rating 11. They're of course like spellcasters. And they can cast some pretty powerful spells, one of them being plane shift, so they themselves can hop into and out of planes. And then, of course, they've got wishes, man. They got wishes. They can cast those wishes, man. So maybe it's like they've been kept prisoner, and oh, dude, what if it's something like, okay, so genies have to grant wishes. I don't know the rules for them right now. I haven't read through them. I'm sorry if I'm getting something wrong, but this is my idea. What if I'm thinking about did you see Ready Player One or read Ready Player One?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched the movie. Yeah.
So the third game or checkpoint or key to try to get that, they have this long line of people just playing this arcade game, trying to beat it. It's this huge line. What if it's the same thing with this cult, and they know and they've captured this genie who can grant wishes, but what if the genie can only cast it once every week, and he can only use, like, you only get one wish, like, per lifetime. So this cult is all about gathering these people to make these wishes, and there's this huge line. It's like day by day they send somebody else in, and the cult is just getting crazy powerful, and you're being sent there to infiltrate the cult. And when you go in to make a wish to break the cycle or to free the genie or something like that, I don't know. What are you thinking?
I actually love the idea of that, because you're leaving the power in the player's hands at that point.
Exactly.
Because they depending on the rules of the wish, they can sort of do what they want once they get there.
Yep.
You know, they could go, okay, hey, you need to go in there and you've got to stop this cult. But then somebody could go, you know what? I kind of like the idea of being super powerful and making the wish to become super powerful. They could sort of fall into the same trap that the cult has fallen into, of this like drunken desire for power and more power, if you will.
Would you like me to read from the player's handbook the rules on wishes? Or at least
yes. Here, we got to cue the trumpets.
Beautiful.
That's the player's handbook reading.
The genie's power to grant wishes is legendary among mortals. Only the most potent genies, such as those among the nobility, can do so. So already we see that this isn't some, bottom of the barrel genie. They've kidnapped a powerful genie. Someone that other genies would be like, we need someone to go rescue this dude. So there's one hook.
Okay.
A particular genie that has this power can only grant 1 to 3 wishes to a creature that isn't a genie. And once a genie has granted its limit of wishes, it can't grant wishes again for some amount of time, usually once a year. So now we see there is this calendar date for this cult where, hey, when it gets close to this time of year, we have to do these certain things to make sure that we get in there and can ask this genie for a wish. And cosmic law dictates that the same genie can expend its limit of wishes only a specific, or once it does, only a specific creature. Okay, so there's cosmic laws that dictate essentially what I was saying, that a genie can only grant 3 wishes to a person, and after that, you had your 3. No more wishing for 1,000 wishes.
And so and so then the cult, that's why they're sending multiple people in, right?
Yes. Yep. So and that's why they have to have multiple people. Like, okay, Jim got his wish a year ago, so now it's Bob's turn, and then it's going to be Samantha's turn, or maybe the cult has some type of trials that it puts through to make sure that the person who's going in is like good to make the wish, or maybe there's a sleeper agent already in the cult who's like, or a defector who's like, who's like, dude, they are doing bad stuff. Like
there's like a deep sleeper cell agent that's creating these trials to make it as intentionally hard to get through to this genie as possible. Yep. And so then these other genies, does it say anywhere in the player's guide that genies are innately good or bad?
It depends. There's one that's innately good, there's one that's innately bad, and I think there's one that's neutral. But I like the idea of them capturing a good one, and the good one, like, it's somehow, these things are powerful. So for a cult to have this kind of sway over them, there has to be some kind of artifact or something that they're using to corrupt this guy.
I.e. the crystal ball, the cage.
Yes. Yep.
The cage that is the crystal ball.
Is. Yep.
So,
but I like the idea. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, I was going to say, I like the idea of this defector. Like, he's worked his way up high enough, and now he's like, there's someone above me, and I've tried so much to work my way past them, but there's this person who's above me, or maybe there's multiple people above me, and over the course of the next month before this ritual happens, they have to be dealt with. I can't do it. This can't come back to me. But if you guys were to sneak into the cult, if I was to get you guys in as new recruits, and maybe in a training duel, one of these people dies, or maybe their food gets poisoned, or maybe something else happens to them. This way, it kind of feels like, Mission Impossible. You're sneaking in. You're in this compound. You're trying to kill these people.
I have this mission if you so choose to accept it.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Craziness. Now, what I was thinking is this: when it comes down to it, this person that's on the inside, they've got the deets, man. They got all the details on all this stuff, man. I sound like I'm like a tinfoil hat wearing man.
Yeah,
kind of
man,
guy.
they know it all, man.
And I'm just like, listen, man. No, so they understand what's going on in the inside here, and so I think, because if the genie had already granted wishes, I feel like the cult would have been too powerful by now, specifically based off the fact that like they could probably wish for some pretty crazy awesome stuff.
That's true.
So I'm thinking a way to make this hook not have any holes in it is this person has been since ground one, since they've captured this genie. Right after that, they were like, we've got to be a part of this and create this trial to make it really hard. And so far, this trial has been blocking people. Mm-hmm. And it's blocked them long enough in that brief window every year that they weren't able to get to the genie to get the wish. But this person with intel has said, hey, they have really gotten very, very close. And I have this really big gut feeling that they're going to make it through this year to get to this wish. And so we have to stop them this time. And we have to eradicate their ability to use a genie at all. And because I created this trial, I can help you get through this trial and help you get through like this different stages. Now, I'm not saying that everything's going to be easy, but you can make it through this. You got to let me help you, in other words. And so that can present your players with the opportunity to get into the genie, go, hey, I wish this genie was free. And then the genie's like, I'm Robin Williams. And then bada boom, bada bing.
Well, that is one thing. Sorry, I was reading as you were talking, but I do like the idea of this trial being almost like training too. Because as I was reading, one of the things I read is that genies, if a genie doesn't like the wish, the genie will exploit as much of it can of the wording or the intent of the wish to not grant the wish, or like I wish I was the most beautiful man in the world, and you get turned into the most beautiful man in the world to somebody that you'll never meet in your life. Like one person out there thinks you're the most beautiful person in the world. You never clarified that everyone has to. So it's almost like these trials are like a test. So there'd be some wit involved, there'd be some intelligence involved, there'd be obviously strength involved. But another thing I saw is actually the genie that is considered to be like chaotic good. They are the most accepting of being made into like servants, or understanding like, hey, part of what I do is I serve people for a little bit. However, powerful, literally out of the player's handbook, is powerful wizards are able to forego such niceties like giving gifts and flattery and bribing the wizard or the genie. However, if they can summon, bind into service, or imprison a jinn using magic, long-term service displeases a jinn or the genie, and imprisonment is inexcusable. So they have this resentment for these wizards who imprison them in bottles or iron flasks or crystal balls. And betrayal is definitely a part of what they're trying to do. So maybe, like, once again, there's someone in contact with the jinn or someone who knows that this genie is missing, and they're trying to get them out, and the genie has been stalling for as long as it can, maybe even years, decades, to not grant the wish of this cult. Which could be like, if you're running, the stories on Timiot, it could just be that this is a side quest where these cultists are like, we want to summon Timiot, and maybe he has some ways of making his way around that, or like make us the most powerful people, and he makes them so powerful that they just instantly explode. But the cult's getting craftier, and they're getting closer and closer to finding those realistic wishes, and that's why this guy's like, shoot, like I've gotta find some people to sneak in and get this guy out.
Right. Yeah. We're essentially making Aladdin, and I'm sort of excited about that.
Oh, dude, with Jafar.
Yeah.
And
like
talking
Jafar.
Parrots.
Jafar talking parrots, street urchins, little monkeys named Apu, stuff like that.
Rats.
Street rats. Yeah, street rats are on your.
I'm trying to think of the song. I used to know that song by heart, man.
Each one of your players in the game gets a street rat as a pet.
Dude,
so
that could
good
be,
luck with that.
Once again, this could be a really good start to a session. Like all your player one, you're all in a city, like it's the ragtag group, and this guy is like, hey, I need to find people who are unsuspecting, people who the cult's not going to be like, this level 8 adventurer just wound up in the town and just so happens to want to join our cult. But it's more like you got the slumdog, you've got the discredited wizard. This could be even a cool idea for like a small grouping of one-shots. Where it's got like a little dungeon crawly theme of going through the cult and sneaking around.
Yeah, because this definitely has that standard feel of go to the bad guy, defeat the bad guy, accomplish the goal.
Yep.
Like it's the very quintessential D&D. This is a quest kind of feel to
and it. Has a
it feels 100% like a module.
Yeah, it has a very definable end goal. The end goal is to rescue the genie. Like, it's not like, go find or go research or look around or enjoy this. It's like the story is over when you do this. Now, how you do that is, I especially like the idea going back to this of like, maybe there's 3 people ahead of our, secret agent dude who are supposed to be going through this trial. And maybe, they're pulling in, because that could be another thing too. If this cult is smart, and if they've been operating for, a decade, they've learned we shouldn't just send our second in command in to make this wish, because we've done that 9 times and they've always died. So now they're like, sending somebody in on their behalf. And maybe that's where maybe it's like there is a prisoner and they send the prisoner in and they're like, you go in there and you make this wish or else. Or maybe they even use the command spell and they command this person, go in there and wish for that, because the command spell can kind of let you do that. Or they use charm magic or something. So this guy's like, I'm going to get you guys into this next grouping of victims to go make these wishes. And when you do, I'm going to make sure to shield your minds, or I'm going to make sure that when you guys go in, that you guys don't die and you can wish for the genie to be free or whatever.
Right. I like the so what about the mage, the powerful mage? What about their interference? How do we sort of make something happen? I don't know why I pronounce sort of. How do we sort of
you went
make,
Valley Girl there for a while.
So what I was thinking was like the mage is like super powerful, right? Like
he's like
the strongest,
so powerful. Like,
all right,
oh my
so like,
gosh.
like just think about this. Like mage drives up, awesome, sweet red beamer. Okay,
he's got
it's
such
hot,
strong magical muscles.
He's just like so powerful. Takes his shirt off with one hand, literally rips it. It's incredible. Anyways, no, if
that was beautiful, by the way.
That's actually beautiful. Forever etched on the internet, so I'm excited about that.
I want to have a mage who talks like that.
Hey everybody, it's me, powerful mage, gonna take you down a notch or two, like that, and then.
Who do you think you're messing with? I'm the most popular mage in school.
Listen, Tiffany told me 3 weeks ago that there was no mage stronger than me, and I'm here to prove it.
I totally
so why don't
heard you
step
talking
on
behind my back because I cast the scry spell.
Hey, one thing real quick. You suck.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
we're coming back to
Cali
this.
Girl Mage.
We're coming back to this NPC at some point. But what were you saying?
Guys,
there was
congrats
a point
on
at
your
some
new
point.
NPC. There is a point to it. How do you get the mage to interfere without them driving up in a I'm a Barbie girl convertible? So. Because like if the mage sees, or the mage is not stupid, right?
That's true. Yep. And there
so
are
if he
spells
starts
that
to
let you read people's minds. Yeah.
Yeah, if he starts to see the fact that like that question's definitely not what I was looking for in terms of the wish. How do they interact? Because that's a really cool sort of pinnacle of like a holy holy shit, these guys are inside the crystal ball. They're trying to screw me. And then he finds his way. He plane shifts into the crystal ball. Boom, big fight. We're going nuts inside this like ethereal plane that's really, really fantastical, really crazy. Maybe give your players a chance to like scream out the wish, and every single time they're trying to scream it out, something clasps across their mouth, and they can't speak to the genie to get it all out. And so if they work together to get the sort of fractured thing all the way out as a wish and like as a group or something, does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. There has to be. Okay. It can't just be like, oh, we get in there, we wish for you to be free, and then it's like, oh, happy day, it worked, yay, everyone's. No, this is like this wizard's crystal ball, man. Like and maybe
that's like his jacuzzi,
dude.
It's like his jacuzzi.
What if they're both trapped? Like
the wizard and the genie?
Yep, like this cult, and maybe that's what the cult is trying to do, is to try to wish him back, because he was the first one to go in there, and maybe he wished, like, I want to be the most powerful wizard, like, ever, or whatever, or however he worded it. He said like something like that, but he is the most powerful wizard, but now he's also trapped, like he's so powerful that like the genie also trapped him in that crystal ball with him. And now, like, people go in and they're making these wishes.
I like that.
Yeah, so he's there.
That's the perfect reason why they're there.
Yep. So this wizard is also in there. This cult leader is also in there. And as soon as he sees like that this is going south, like there would be spells. There's even I'm thinking of a spell. I just read it. It was in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, where it's a spell that in a 20-foot radius around you, one of the things that happens is it's silent. Like you can't hear. There's like this whirlwind that's going so fast that you can't hear anything that's said. And if this wizard is just chilling out by this dude, by this genie, and he just starts hearing this wish going wrong, he just instantly casts that spell. And now it's like, or maybe there's like there's this thing in fantasy writing that I've seen where it's like the whole like, riddle me these 3 riddles, or I'll give you these riddles 3, and maybe we play on the idea of 3 wishes. Like maybe it's not just, I wish for the genie to be free. Maybe it's like they have to break these 3 seals, or there's 3 certain phrases they have to say. As to
giving
why.
giving a tier to that final encounter has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just get in there and go, blah blah blah, win, it's just not.
And
it doesn't give me the da 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 da. Yep. Yeah, it gives me more of a blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It just feels very anticlimactic,
And that could be
so
something
you have
too.
to like break the seals.
Yeah, that could be something too that the quest giver lets you know, is like you can't just go in there. You could even say like people have tried to go in there before and just to wish the genie free. But there's these things that this cult leader has set up. So you specifically have to wish for this thing, and then you have to wish for this thing, and then you have to wish for this thing in that order. Or maybe it's even going back to the whole idea where a genie can only grant so many wishes to a specific person. Maybe this genie can only grant 1 wish to a specific person. So one party member has to wish for this, and one party member has to wish for this, and one party member has to wish for this. And as soon as that first wish happens, the cult leader immediately knows, no, I'm putting an end to this. So he's casting spells that are just weird, like Zone of Silence and like Control Person and that Whirlwind spell. And this is also, his plane of existence. Maybe he's summoning the spirits of all of these people who have died in this crystal ball. Maybe he's, just totally warping the map. I rewatched an episode the other day of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. May it rest in peace. And there was an episode where
great show.
Where the bounty hunters were going into, what was it called, the box or something like that? Do you remember that episode?
I don't. You know what? Because it's funny, because all I can think about is Pokemon Stadium and Super Smash Brothers, and how the stadium keeps changing.
Yes. Well,
that's all I can think about.
No, that's so true though, and that's what happened in this episode. Is it was this like perfectly like square white box, but as the person giving the test put in different commands, the box would change and shift, and things would happen, and there would be different gas leaks, and et cetera, et cetera. And that could be something really cool for this. It's like you walk in, and at first it's not this like really impressive like world or anything like that. It's kind of just kind of bland. But as soon as the wizard starts like using his powers, everything starts changing. You've got all of a sudden we're fighting in like a volcano, and then all of a sudden there's this huge wind. You could even have environmental effects. Like now we're fighting underwater for a little bit. Now there's like this huge gust of wind. Now there's smoke everywhere. It's literally dark. There's no light. And it's like, shoot, how we didn't anticipate to have to mess with all of this.
I have an idea for a side quest.
What are you thinking?
This will increase the length of the total adventure. Maybe create a few more sessions for people as well. Gaining the 3 wishes, understanding what is needed to be asked of, could be adventures in and of themselves.
That's true. That's true.
Say this is a couple months away. You need to go speak with this man right here, as he knows this, and this, or this wonderful woman elf. You need to talk to her as she understands what needs to be spoken to the wizard. And each of these has like their own, sort of little side quest to go upon to like gain that information and understand what's going on from that perspective.
I like this. You have that moment where it's like where Gandalf, sees the ring in the first Lord of the Rings movie, and he's like, I have to go, and he rides off, and he's just looking through books and studying writing, and you have that moment where it's like, maybe it's even like I know when it comes to like summoning demons and summoning fae in D&D, and even in just fantasy, there's this idea that like true names are important. So maybe you have to wish for this genie. You have to say, not just, I wish that this genie is free, because that's like saying, I wish this human was free. It can be very vague. Yeah. You have to know his like true 3-word name.
Right. And maybe he's only shared that with 3 different people.
Exactly.
It's like there's and I like the idea of one of those people not being very, very, cooperative at all, almost combative.
Yep.
I think that's pretty cool. You did say something, by the way. I was talking over you. What you had whispered something.
Oh, I said, I like that idea, Cam.
Oh, thanks so much, Rich.
Even too.
I appreciate you.
I've been watching a bunch of, I think it's called Sarcastic History. They're a YouTube channel. They are great.
That sounds hilarious. Yeah. I would love that.
It's a guy and a girl, and the girl goes over popular like lore and mythology. The guy goes over like history. And one thing I realized is, man, the ancient Greeks knew how to make a hero's life awesome. So I think like if you're trying to find this genie's true name, one of these guys has to be dead, and you have to go to the underworld or into another plane of existence. Like, make it sweet. That is one thing I could have said that inspired me this week, is how like there's no I was inspired to write stories like the ancient Greeks did, where it's like, oh, Hercules, he held up the sky for a little bit, and he went into Hades and wrestled Cerberus, and then he like had this like affair with this god and all this other stuff, where I'm like, man, I want my adventurers to feel like stinking Greek heroes by the time they're done with the session.
Right.
But that, I think that's awesome to give this length to freeing this genie, because that is true. Right. This session could go from being really cool to really meh if it just ends.
Right. But if you build it up and you give them this moment where they know, we know what the end has to be to stop this thing.
Yep.
And it's just the journey needs to have some value to it.
Yep.
Because if it's just go stop this thing, this is how you do it, there's nothing gained from that. And so you're not actually really experiencing anything. All you're doing is sort of just, you're taking a key, in other words, and walking to a door, putting the key in the door and saying, I win.
It's like every MMO fetch quest.
It's a fetch quest, yeah. Yep. So we had to avoid the fetch quest, and so instead of that, what we're doing is really sprinkling, just what's a good sprinkle word? We're sprinkling stardust all over our fetch quest and making it fun.
Well, okay, if I can distract us for a little bit. So speaking of, fleshing out the quest, we've talked a lot about the crystal ball and the genie, but we haven't talked a whole lot about the Undermining the Cult. and the getting into the
No.
cult. And there's some really cool stuff we could flush out with that.
Okay.
Like such as we kind of talked about like just getting your 3 Wonka tickets. Like, hey, you're now a member of the cult. But I mean, if this is like a secret cult, it's got to be a little bit trickier than that. So maybe
Right.
what was going through my mind is I like the idea of not every player can infiltrate the cult the same way. It's not just like, oh, here's your robes and masks. Like, it's like, well, there's one dude we know of who lives in this city who has the cult robes and has the cult mask because nobody knows what each other looks like. If you guys can find out who he is, you guys could take his place. Well, not you guys. One of you guys could take his place. So now they're like looking through the city and they're like, is it the tavern keeper? Is it the sheriff? Is it the hog farmer? Like, and they're asking these questions and they're following people. Maybe
Definitely the hog farmer.
Oh, it has to be like 100%. Maybe
I
they're
hate that pig.
yeah, and maybe once somebody has that way, once somebody is able to dress like that, that person meets with another of the cult leaders a few days later, and the two of them go out and capture victims, and then it's like, well, you guys, okay, we're gonna have to capture you, so one of you has to just get like blackout drunk and just fall asleep in the middle of the road and we'll capture you. And then another person has to show up at the wrong place at the wrong time and we'll capture you. So once again, once you even get set up to start infiltrating the cult, it's not like you're all just together. It's like maybe 1 or 2 people have outfits and they, hi, brother, just checking out the prisoners, those prisoners. I just want to go spit on them. I hate them so much.
It would create some really humorous things between your player characters, because if I was a player character in this situation and I'm, say, acting as the guard and my other 2 compadres are next to, like, inside the jail cell, I would be talking so much shit.
Oh yeah, yep. Well, it's like,
look at these ugly ones right here. You want me to kill these guys? Yeah, I'll kill these guys.
Yeah,
don't worry.
They just look so stupid. That one's so short. Well, it's like the it's the Star Wars. They're the stormtroopers escorting Chewbacca with their outfits on, and no one asks questions. It's in the new season of Critical Role. They're Not and Caleb. Caleb acts like a guard who's captured Not, this goblin, and just like beats him up. But the guard's like, oh man, those guys are legit. I definitely think that those guys are not doing anything suspicious. But it creates those moments where they even have to sit down around the table and say, who's doing what? Who's going to be in the mask? Who's going to be the prisoner? And maybe they figure out some way where, like, once they get in, they sneak out. Or maybe there's, people could get snuck in food supplies, like in empty barrels.
There's so many little cool things. It's like, like you said, you could do food barrels, like food supplies. You could do the old fashioned hay bale, or like in the hay cart.
Yep. Just
fall into the hay cart. I love the idea of the mask over the player. Acting as another. So somebody could walk by and be like, Johnson, how's it going? And they'll be like, it's me, Johnson. Yeah.
Which
totally me.
Which for those
definitely
players,
not somebody you don't know.
Yeah, and for those like players, the bards and the rogues and the warlocks who have picked like disguise self or can change their voice and stuff like that, like it makes those players feel like, yes, I didn't waste my like spell slots picking these spells.
Druids are another thing that could have a lot of fun with this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like you could do something where maybe this cult even meets in the woods and the druid can help out there too. What were you going to say though?
I was going to say this reminds me a lot of the GTA Grand Theft Auto heist missions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're multi-tiered missions, right?
Yep.
And it's not just about like go rob the bank. It's like, oh, we need to set up this phone account and we need to go and get our mask and we need to go steal a garbage truck and like all these kind of different things.
Yep.
Those little, it's literally almost a heist mission, but at the same time, it's like a protect the president type of thing.
Exactly.
When it comes to the genie.
What if
and the inside?
What if too? Okay, so going back to the idea of like trying to take this person's spot, if you're truly trying to get everybody in, you can't just go and kill that guy first. You have to find out who he is, and then you have to like follow him around. So maybe the guy's like, hey, here's some phrases to look for people saying, here's some hand signs, which it could just be something overly corny like, wishes do come true, or like they just drop that saying, or there's like the secret hand motion, or there's something like that. I don't know. A dream, they just start singing Disney songs, and it's like, oh, that guy's definitely in the cult.
He's just walking through the street, and he's all, I can show you the world. You're all, what's up? That's a cult guy. That's a cult guy for sure.
Yep. But what if it's like, okay, so you first have to find this guy. So now you're collecting information, and you're talking to people. But once you find the guy, you have to start trailing him. You have to, like I said, you could get two people who have to get snuck in food barrels. So you have to follow this guy and see where he orders food from, and then you have to get your people. Maybe you pay the guy who he's buying food from, and you're like, hey, we know that you're not supposed to do this, but we need, like, we'll pay you more. We'll double it. Just keep quiet. Or maybe murder hobo style, they're just like, kill the guy, whatever, we'll take care of it. And then they follow him to the place where he's like kidnapping people, and
I'm chef now.
Yes, I am the gourmet now. I'm Gordon
Do you
Ramsay
want
now.
food, sir? I give food to you, sir. What is your name? I need all of your information, every bit of it. Also, all the little nuances of your personality.
Yep.
What's up? And I'm taking you.
But yeah, dude,
that's awesome.
I love it. This sounds like such a cool little, like, I might incorporate this into some other stories I'm doing right now. I'm liking it, at least. What about you? Is there anything else where you're like, well, going back to this?
Well, you know what? I am liking it because this one was tough for me at first. You bring out this really nice spot where you drop a monster on us each week, or not a monster, but you drop like a type of being of some sort, and that generally tends to flesh out the episode.
Thank you also for correcting yourself and for not offending our genie listeners out there. They are not monsters. They are beings. Thank you. I really appreciate that. They've worked really hard, Cam, to not just be monsters. So I appreciate that. Sorry to interrupt.
I will not be patronized on my own podcast by you or any of the monster genies out there. Okay? So you genies out there, listen up. I'm coming for you. I'm going to take you down. Guess what? My wish to you, genie, I wish you were dead.
Oh.
And then I look at him in the eye, and I like slam the door, but then I open the door a little bit, and I've got a little bit of a sad look on my face and a small tear running down my eyes, and I go, it's like a tear that says, the tear goes to my cheek, and the tear writes in cursive, I didn't mean it. And
Yep. Because you're a wizard, obviously. You're the most powerful wizard.
And then I cry out of the other eye, and I go, JK, JK.
Sorry,
and
not
then
sorry.
I cry, and then I cry again on the right eye, and I go, totally meant it. I wish you were dead.
Out of your third
and
eye,
then
the eye in the middle of your head, it opens up.
And then 2 hours later, Genie comes into my room, and he's like, hey. And I go, what's up? And then we work it out, and we have a long-term relationship afterwards.
Yep. And I imagine that the genie in this scenario looks just like Danny Tanner from Full House.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
And then the audience claps, and we hit the credits. And guys, great show.
We did it.
Fantastic show, everybody.
Yep.
That's a wrap for season 3. Oh yeah. Also, Rich, I did enjoy. Yes, I did enjoy the story. The story was good as well.
A little bit of a side trail there, but
yeah, just a tad.
I think we had to follow that one.
Yeah. No, sometimes there's little breadcrumbs that are going to fall in your lap, and you're going to look above you, and there's a bread monster floating there, and follow the bread monster.
And you get to the bread monster's cave. Exactly.
And now we're back. And now we're heading down another path. And then the bread monster says, "No, this is the last time you eat my toast, children." Okay. Well, I am definitely derailing this.
There we go.
How about this?
It's okay.
How about this? How about, because it's your turn this week, how about we hit into a sweet old synopsis?
Okay. I was not thinking about this. Okay, let me just go. I think I have enough to go off of. I'm just going to start and see where we end up. The crescent moon is drawing ever closer to the apex of the sky above you. Every day over the past month, you've watched it with dread, knowing that when it reaches the top of the sky, the day of the wishes is upon you. You've been contacted by someone wishing to save a loyal djinn to a great king who's been captured, and you've been making your way slowly deeper and deeper into the cult. It started with you just trailing some people at night with the cover of darkness over you. You've got 2 members waiting in barrels just to be shipped in for the big collection of all of the cultists. 2 others are sitting in jail cells waiting to be sprung loose, and you yourself are wearing a mask and taking the guise of a man named Jim. The day draws near and you find yourself surrounded by unfamiliar faces, hoping that none of them can see you sweating underneath your mask. As you get all of your party members together and enter into the sacred room, you put your hands on the crystal ball and are pulled into another dimensional prison where in front of you stands 2 figures. One, a shackled genie, his blue skin looking even paler than usual, and eyes that look like they've given up on all hope. Standing next to him is a slender and tall figure, facial features much like a crow, and his eyes just darting right at you. As soon as you open your mouth and utter the genie's first name, he immediately springs into a frenzy, casting all sorts of spells. And that's where I'll leave you guys to fill in the rest of the gaps. See what I did there? I used the name of the podcast in the recap. Just see what I did there?
Ladies and gentlemen, our podcast name is Filling in the Gaps, and we will allow you to fill in the gaps with characters such as Jim and Toast Monster
and Valley Girl Wizard. Oh,
and,
gosh,
yeah,
I should have had it be
Wizard.
Valley Girl Wizard. What was I doing? Man.
Oh, no, it's Valley Girl Raven Wizard. Right whenever you speak his first name, he goes, "I'll not have any of that, Jim." Like that.
Jim, what are you doing?
Jim, why are you being such an idiot, Jim? I trusted you, Jim.
Dude, I want to make this wizard so bad. But that
Valley Girl Wizard,
it has to happen. But that is our episode for this week, and man, it was a fun one. I miss being out of our regular recording schedule. I'm glad that we are somewhat back.
We are back.
But yeah,
we got a few things to hit before we go.
That's true. Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, we have social medias. You can social media us at Twitter. You can hit us up on Reddit. We have a pretty fun Reddit. Our Twitter is a lot of fun. Our Instagram does some really fun little artwork as well. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes. We are on Stitcher. We are trying to get on Spotify. It's really, really difficult.
Really?
It's super, super difficult.
Huh.
Really, really hard. Yeah. Guys, once we post our ideas, or not our ideas, but our themes and scenarios, feel free to recommend any and all that you think would be a lot of fun to hear on the show. We will replace whatever, if y'all recommend it, we will replace it on our list. And
we'd rather have your stuff than our stuff. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I think y'all's stuff will be a lot more fun to try it out.
Oh,
because we know that you would like that. Speaking of
putting your name on it, I'm pretty sure both of these were recommended by Dunn this week. Like
100%.
Like Crystal Ball and Undermining a Cult. Dunn, that was all you. Like done. Wish I could rewind an hour to tell you that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna splice it in. So just don't say anything real quick. And these sweet ideas were brought to you by Dunn, and now I can cut that and put that at the back of the beginning of the episode.
Boom, perfect.
And it's perfect. I need to do a different take though. Yo, what's up? These are some sweet and sour saucy ideas from my main man Dunn.
I hope this is all staying in. This all has to be kept in. No editing.
Yeah, no, this is
editing.
I've never actually. You're expecting way too much from me because editing doesn't actually happen.
That's true.
I just sort of.
But one more thing for all of our listeners who are still like, what's happening to this podcast? We will also be having our own Reddit page up soon, and one thing I think both of us are looking forward to is us being able to say, hey, here's this week's episode. What did you guys like? What ideas did you have about the genie, about the crystal ball, about the undermining the cult.
Yeah.
What things have you done? I'm looking forward to not it just being you guys talking to us, but man, all of us talking together and us building this little community of people who are helping to fill in the gaps together.
Yeah.
I also
Make a little think tank.
Exactly.
That's going to be really cool.
I got some really cool ideas for this thing I'm trying to make called Tactics, and hopefully I'll either make a video or a podcast where we can talk through that. And then me and Cam have also let us know what you guys think about this, about every once in a while breaking up, filling in the gaps being a theme and a scenario, and us talking about classes instead. Maybe we roll a D12 and we pick a random class, and instead of doing what I feel everybody else does, which is, oh, hey, here's the top 5 spells for a bard, or hey, here's the way of like min-maxing your fighter, or here's all these different things. Me and Cam just saying, dude, what the heck is a bard's college? What could go on at a bard's college? What do these schools look and feel like? Whereas everybody else is talking stats, we just talk stories and maybe hopefully give you guys some ideas so that when you pick barbarian as your class, it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm a barbarian. It's like, oh no, dude, I'm going to be a barbarian and I want to have those sweet tattoos that Filling in the Gaps was talking about or that we talked about on the Reddit. Just to, help be, I feel like we're the story guys. We might not know might not know all the stats, but we can come up with some really cool ideas maybe.
Hey, Joe, just want to let you know real quick, your barbarian was awesome, and I loved when you said that he had a tugboat tattoo on his right shoulder, but his strength is a 6, so what's going on there? Hey, you know what, man? That's my story. Just let me have it.
Yeah,
okay?
just let me have it,
just
man.
Let me have it.
His strength is 6 because he has no arms. He's really sensitive about it, man. Come on.
Just learn how to storytell, my friends. But yeah, I'm super excited about doing that. That will be our next episode. Will be a character-based episode. Those might run a little shorter than our standard episodes, but just let us know what you think. If you enjoy it, let us know. If you hate it, well, then we won't do it as much.
Let us know a little bit more gingerly.
Yeah. I hate this, please. My ears don't feel good after hearing this.
They're sick. They're ear barfing. But I think that is it for our episode. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know, once again, like we were saying, if there's anything we can ever do. This show started, I think, just because the two of us like to talk stories. But, man, like Cam said earlier on, it's going on because you guys are giving us such good feedback. I think we've stopped doing it just for us, and now we feel like we're really doing it for a group of people. Thank you guys so much for listening in. We'll see you guys on the social medias, and we'll be seeing you guys on the next one. Have a good week, everybody.